Hello and welcome to Jank It Up Fuzzball, episode 22. I'm your host Brian, aka Old Man Jank, Reluctant Instructor. What's going on? How are you doing? How's it been? Because it has been a minute. Or a month. Hey, I've been on radio silence. I apologize for that, but it is the start of the fall term, fall semester. My life exists in terms of semesters, really. That's the cycle of my year. And it's just been a busy start to the fall semester for my day job. And, I've just been kind of dragging my feet a little bit. But we are less than 3 weeks away from Star Wars Destiny Worlds in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I'm going, and I'm super excited. And it was time to get back behind the mic. I have been playing some Destiny a little bit here and there. So, it's not like I've stopped playing. It's been good. My children have also discovered Pokemon the game, so I have a daughter in addition to the son I speak often of, and she enjoys Pokemon in a sense that, some of her friends at school have given her some cards and whatnot, so I bought a couple of starter decks, and we started playing some games with that. So that's been a nice little distraction from other games, I suppose, but it's been fun. And Destiny's been played. I've played some Ewoks. I've played various other, my Grievous burn deck I've revisited and tried to play that. I've built a Leia Boosh deck, which I'm getting excited to play, hopefully soon. But, most recently, Greg came over this past weekend, and we did something as one would do as you get ready for Worlds, and that was have a Way of the Force booster box battle. There's some joke in there, but that's what we did. Even though it's a few sets ago, that's what we had. And so today I want to talk about that. But before we dive into that and all the fun that was, because it was a whole bunch of fun, I want to mention some things at the top of the show. You're listening to Jank It Up Fuzzball. I'm your host Brian, and we have a Jank It Up shop. So if you are a fan of the pod and you've missed us while we've been gone, I'm not sure why I said us, but you've missed the show. We're back. We'll be back. And if you want to support the show, my offer of buying some Jank merch and getting some complimentary alt art thrown in still stands. If you visit jankitupfuzzball.com/shop, you will find that we offer some Jank branded drink coasters, also some stickers, and also some very thin, very stylish refrigerator magnets. And you can buy that, and I'm happy to send it to you. And if you buy it at certain levels of purchase, basically for every $5 you spend, I will give you one of my 3 alt art cards that I myself have illustrated and produced and had printed. And that's on me, right? That's my gift to you, just a way of saying thanks for supporting the pod by buying some of my merch. jankitupfuzzball.com/shop. Big news. I was a guest on a podcast. How cool is that? It's really, really great. Kevin and Corwin of the Roll On podcast invited me on, and we recorded this week. They released their show on Monday, September 30th. So if you're looking to hear me and Kevin and Corwin talk a little bit about casual Destiny, talk about Worlds, talk about some of the hot new takes that are going around, and certainly talked about Maul, because Kevin and I are both Maul enthusiasts, please do yourself a favor. Listen to Roll On. The episode is from September 30th. It's called Do the Janky Leg, I guess in an homage to me. And it was great. It was a lot of fun to be a guest on a show. It was really, really neat to talk to those two individuals. They're brothers. If you haven't listened to their pod, I really encourage you to do it. Kevin was a guest on this podcast earlier in the summer. We talked all about Snoke after he got nerfed and then fixed in a way where his points went back down, but he can only do damage and what happened there. And that was a good talk, and it was great to be on their pod. So they have such great chemistry between the two of them, and they have a wonderful mix of competitive talk and casual talk. I think they really are very unique. It's a unique voice in the Destiny community. Whether you listen to my episode or not, please do yourself a favor. Subscribe to theirs. Listen to them. They do a good job, and they do it mostly regularly, like almost every week, which is fantastic. Here I am, almost 5 weeks away from my last episode, but don't listen to what I do. Listen to other people who are way more regular than me, and Roll On is great. So to Kevin and Corwin, thank you so much. I had a great time. Fun conversation. Please check it out. My plan is to record another episode before Worlds. In that episode, I'm going to talk about the deck I'm going to bring because I feel like I'm really zoning in on the deck I'm going to compete with. I'm going to take lots of decks, hopefully to play in lots of pods. But I think I know what deck I'll play in the tournament. And so my next episode will be a breakdown of that. And hopefully you'll tell me all the things that are wrong with it and I can fix it. Again, I'm not planning on going to Worlds to do well. I'm going to play on Friday and I'm flying back on Saturday. So I'm flying back during day 1B, which shows you how confident I am in my ability to miss the cut. But I'm going to have a great time. I'm really looking forward to it. I have 50 new coasters that are designed exclusively for Worlds. They're Jank It Up coasters, but they're all about the Worlds meetup. That meetup is going to happen Friday night, October 18th. Please, if you're up in St. Paul for Worlds and you're coming to that meetup, come find me because I have 50 coasters. I'm going to keep one for myself. So I have 49 coasters that I want to give away. Just come find me. I've already ordered myself a Jank It Up shirt. So I'll have a blue t-shirt with the Jank It Up logo and the Jank It Up motto on the back. Look for me. Find me. I would love to talk shop, say hello, and give you a coaster. It's a coaster, right? It's not the most amazing gift in the world, but you're at a bar, so you can put your drink on it. You can take it home with you, put your drinks on it there. You can throw it at people you don't like, whatever you want to do with it. It's a coaster. But it's something I threw together exclusively for this trip, and I'm only going to give them out at Worlds. If I come home with any, then, I don't know. Hopefully I won't. So you can probably tell I'm super excited for Worlds. I'm excited to meet just people from the community, people that play Destiny. I'm excited to basically burn myself out playing Destiny. Even though I'll only be in Minnesota for about 48 hours, I am just going to hit the ground running, play a lot of Destiny, have a lot of fun, roll a lot of dice, all that good stuff, and definitely play some Jank. I'm going to bring what I consider my competitive deck. I'm also going to bring a couple of decks that are true to my brand, we should say. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, so I mentioned how, I'm getting ready for Worlds, and Greg has been sitting on 2 boxes of Way of the Force that he bought cheap on Amazon. And I've mentioned throughout the history of this podcast how much I enjoyed Sealed, and I love the idea of just cracking packs, throwing something together, and playing. I love box tournaments. Obviously, when the new sets come out, it's a more expensive proposition. But on Amazon, you can log in and you can get a box of Way of the Force for under $34, and that kind of fluctuates. Sometimes it dips pretty close to $30. You can buy boxes of the older set for even cheaper than that. And Greg and I each have a box of Spirit of Rebellion that we got for under $19. So once this thing slows down as we await covert missions, which is going to be Q1 of next year, I'm sure at some point in November or December, we'll have yet another box tournament with those. But Greg had bought these 2 boxes at different times, and I bought one off of him. And we decided that since it's Way of the Force, it's standard legal, maybe there are some cards in there that could help me in Worlds, or it's something that Greg just wants to build around. So I thought it was a good idea, or he suggested it. And absolutely, who doesn't like opening packs? So we decided to have another box battle in which we just open the entire box. We did this with Legacies a while ago. And you open the entire box, all 36 packs. You don't have a draft kit. You just show up, open your packs, build a deck, and then we were going to do best 2 out of 3. So he came over, and it's funny. He had one box that he bought a long time ago, and then one box he bought recently. So he knew they were kind of marked. He had marked one of the boxes with, so he knew which one was old, and he was just curious to see, like, had he been sitting on a gold mine for so long? Like, he was kind of like, would I have wished to have opened this sooner? So he asked me which box I wanted. I said I would take the newer box just to torture him in case his, didn't have stuff or did have stuff. Either way, he would have to have the burden of knowing that box has been in his closet for months and months and months. But it was good. It was a Saturday night. He came over. My son was still awake, so I had my son open all 36 of my packs, and it's fun for him. Which who doesn't like cracking packs, right? And so that was good. And the best part is, both Greg and myself, we each got cards that we didn't have. I'm not even talking dice cards, but just there's still cards in the Way of the Force set that I don't own, and I was happy to pull. Now, my target, the one card I really wanted between 2 boxes of Way of the Force, was I wanted my second Old Man Luke. I have one Luke Skywalker, Reluctant Instructor. I really wanted a second. I'd been tempted to buy one on eBay because I found some really exciting prices for that. But I knew that we had 2 boxes of Way of the Force stowed away in Greg's house. So I held off. I showed good restraint. And sure enough, we started opening these packs. And in my box was Luke Skywalker. So I was over the moon. I pulled the legendary that I wanted to pull. I was super excited. For insurance purposes, perhaps, Greg also pulled a Luke Skywalker in his box. So even had mine been empty, I bet I could have negotiated a trade to get that. So we each pulled a Luke. That was pretty awesome. I'm going to go over just the legendaries because that's what people are here for. And I have to say, we pulled some good stuff. I mean, it was pretty exciting. I think my box, I'm particularly ecstatic about my box, but Greg also pulled some stuff. And so Greg pulled Luke. He pulled DJ. I've never played against DJ, but I know that it can be a really annoying card to play against. And I'm sure Greg's not listening. But Greg, as a Magic player, loves playing the kind of decks that just annoy your opponent, right? I mean, they're great decks. They're smart. But it's just sometimes they're just frustrating. And I think DJ's that character. So I think it's only right that Greg pulls a DJ. So that was fine. So he had Luke. He had DJ. He pulled a planetary bombardment. He already has one. But he pulled a second one. And I immediately was eyeing that. I'm like, he doesn't really need 2 planetary bombardments. So hopefully there was something I could work to maybe deal for that before the night was through. He pulled a Leia Organa, and that's nice. So the Mill Leia, the red Mill Leia. And he also pulled Grievous Willbike. So the object of ridicule when the set first came out, it has kind of been reevaluated with the new Grievous. And I have one. I traded for one. So I have one in my collection. And now Greg has one in his collection. However, I think the best truly was saved for last, because the last legendary he pulled was a card that he really, really wanted, and that was Hellfire Droid Tank. So congratulations to Greg, because he loves Aphra, he loves droids, and he's always been, I don't know if jealous is the right word, but he's always been a little anxious whenever I throw down the Hellfire Droid Tank on the table. And so I know he's genuinely excited to have that. So a great pull for Greg. So he pulled, once again, Luke, DJ, Leia, Grievous Willbike, Planetary Bombardment, and the Hellfire Droid Tank. So good job. Lots of red. Four red, a yellow, and a blue. So I pulled Luke. I already told you that. And then what else was I going to pull? Well, I pulled my own Leia. So between the two of us, we had Elite Leia. We ended up going our separate ways with that. So we went home each with our own Leia. We didn't trade for that, but we each pulled a Leia. I pulled Formidable. So that yellow upgrade that features Jango Fett on it. Greg has one because in a previous box battle, he had pulled one, so he has a Formidable. So now I have a Formidable, which I'm completely happy with. I mentioned how I'm building a Leia Bouche, and that would be great, right? It would fit right in there using Leia Bouche's ability, and it has specials on it. So special chaining with Yoda is always something I'm excited about. So I was super excited for that. I pulled a Rex. I've already bought Elite Rex, but it's still nice to have, especially since we knew we were going to build decks around these. I was like, hey, Rex is a viable character to kind of play around. Of course, he's best with Clone Troopers, and they came out in the Legacy set, so there weren't going to be any of those in this. I also pulled Snoke, so that was pretty amazing. I've already have 2 Snokes, so that's my 3rd Snoke as well. But still, for the Battle of the Night, I think Snoke is a pretty great character to have. And when you play Sealed, it doesn't have the holocron. You don't care about the updates, right? So in that sense, I can use Snoke's ability to increase a resource or increase a disrupt or increase a focus. All the edits don't apply because when you play a sealed event, you literally go by what's written on the card. So that was exciting. So I got Luke, I got Snoke, I got Rex, I got Leia, I got Formidable. The last legendary that I pulled, and when my son said it, I guess he recognized it. He said it. I thought he was kidding, but it was Darksaber, and I was super excited because I have a Maul deck. I'm really considering maybe that's the deck I field. I run a yellow Maul. I know red Maul might be the most popular, and if you want to hear me and Kevin and Corwin kind of debate that, please listen to that roll-on episode. But a Darksaber is just such an amazing weapon that it's a legendary that I wouldn't go out and buy myself, but wow, am I excited. If we'd swapped boxes, I would have been thrilled to have a second Hellfire and a planetary and I would have gotten my Luke. I would have been happy. Greg would have probably been happy to have Darksaber for his Vader, just so he could smash me in the face. But now I have the Darksaber. I can put it in my Maul deck, and I have an ability to smash faces that way. So what an amazing legendary pull out of this box. Again, Luke, Snoke, Rex, Leia, formidable Darksaber. That's pretty amazing. And someone, Brian, on Instagram, another Brian, commented when I posted it saying like, hey, that's like $100 in legendaries when the set first came out. I know it's not that anymore, but he's right. I mean, that was an amazing pool. If that had been opened, last summer, would have been amazing. So, I don't know. You can probably hear my excitement. It's just great. And all that for about $30. Pretty awesome. Those are new. Some of those are new to me, which I'm excited to immediately start playing. And I got a lot of other cards. Besides those legendaries, I didn't have any Orinda Price. I pulled a price. Greg pulled a price. So we swapped. I actually pulled Elite Plo Koon, which is awesome. I thought, I'll play Elite Plo Koon, but I actually couldn't really do a whole lot with him. So he pulled one Plo Koon. I pulled two. I traded him my Plo Koon for his Orinda Price. He already has Price at Elite. And then we traded just a couple of other various rares, and that was great. We did swap two legendaries. Like I mentioned, I really wanted that Planetary Bombardment. And so I swapped him my Rex for his Planetary Bombardment. So that was also great. So at the end of the night, he got a Rex and I got a Planetary. So I'm super excited about that. I have a Delve. I have the Super Laser Siege Cannon. So already I'm like, I can put Planetary and Super Laser Siege Cannon and a couple of Delves in a deck. And maybe one day, the stars will align and I'll be able to drop one of those in a game. And that would be really, really awesome. So as you do with a box battle, after pulling all that and all the excitement, I sent my son to bed because it was already getting late. But we had to build our decks. We had to build teams around that. And I mentioned I had Elite Plo Koon. That would have been really cool. But I only had like one non-unique character. I pulled a Mandalorian Super Commando. And he doesn't really have an ability. Like he has a power action, but that's not the same. And so I did pull a Trusted Informant. Both Greg and I did. I pulled two of those, actually. And so that ability is every time you activate this character, you look at an opponent's hand. So I'm like, it's pretty useless because then I can activate the Informant, look into his hand, and then I can activate Plo Koon and look into his hand again. And guess what? His hand hasn't changed. So, it doesn't matter. So that wasn't good. I had Luke, obviously, I could build around. I also had Orinda. I had one Orinda Price. I had an Executioner. I had Snoke, which I was really excited about. I had two Trusted Informants. I had two Plo Koons, as I mentioned. And I had the Mando Super Commando. And I ended up trading the Mando to Greg because I already have a pair of those, and I think he only had one. So at the end of the night, I traded one to him. I thought about Luke. I thought about Plo Koon, but I only had like 6 blue dice in the whole box, right? And the others were vehicles. I think I had one blue upgrade, and that was Luke's lightning rod. And other than that, just not a lot of support for blue. And just mathematically, trying to piece your 30-point team together, I wasn't feeling it. I went with Snoke. Snoke's only 11, and he has an amazing ability where you can Snoke other people's dice. So I said Snoke's going to be my blue character. With the Mandalorian or the Trusted Informant, I could get yellow. I ended up going Mandalorian. That's 9 points, so that took me to 20. And then it's a question of, who else could I use? And the Executioner is cheaper, but I didn't have a reasonable plot. We got some plots, but none of them were really fit. So at the end of the day, my team, I went with Snoke, I went with Mando Super Commando, and I went with Orinda Price. Now, her dice isn't amazing for Snokables. I mean, she has a special and she has a blank, but she also has a resource, and that's important because Mando does not have a resource, and you just want to be able to get some things out. So that was my rainbow color. We each pulled a Bendu's Lair, so, that was our battlegrounds, or battlefields, I should say. But I built around that with Rainbow. I was able to put in an Arc Starfighter. I also had a crate speeder. I was able to put in the Darksaber, even though I wasn't sure if I'd ever use it. I had a thermal detonator. T1, I think, is a thermal detonator. I had an N1 Starfighter. I had Van Braces. I had some good stuff. I had Formidable. I'm not sure if I included it or not, but I also had one of the three. I had one each of the three pod racers from the set. So I had Anakin's pod racer, I had Sebulba's pod racer, and I had the gray pod racer. So that was pretty good. Greg ended up with the gray pod racer and Sebulba's, and that was fine. I did have a couple of upgrades. I think I had like the Gungan Electro Pole. It's kind of useless. I had an Executioner's Axe, which might have seen some play. But yeah, it's just interesting. Looking back, I did get some stuff I didn't have, but we didn't see a Sebulba between our two boxes. We didn't see a little Anakin. It's interesting, just the breakdown of what's in a box versus what's not. We obviously we still have our polls up. If you're still buying Spark of Hope and you want to submit, you can do that, because this kind of data is just stuff that we find interesting, right? I just think it's interesting. I'm looking at my dice that's on my table in front of me, and it's just interesting to see the color spread of gray versus yellow versus red versus blue. I pulled 2 macro binoculars. I didn't have any. I don't think I'll ever run one at all, but now I have 2, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, Greg, I can tell you, pulled a couple of the Starfighters, right? That 3-cost red that if it gets discarded, it gets back in your hand. That's a savage little vehicle, a little support there. And he had some other characters as well. His team, when he pieced together, was Old Man Luke as his blue. And then he used the Trusted Informant as his yellow. And then he had Firmus Piet. So that was his rainbow, the 3 of those. And Firmus Piet, he also has an after you activate ability, which is turn any number of your vehicle or non-unique character dice to sides showing a value of 1. So he was able to fix his vehicle dice if he wanted to, go to a value showing 1, or he could fix the Trusted Informant die to get resource, or if he wanted some other, he could do that. And that was pretty useful for him. I was happy with Snoke because I could Snoke the Mando's damage sides and kind of punch extra damage. And occasionally I would Snoke Price's resource side to get more money. And that was fun. So we did all this. We suited up. We each had I'm looking at his die, so I'm reminded, we each had a trip 0, and he showed up several times. And what's also great about a booster box battle or any kind of sealed event or draft, you can actually play more than 2 copies of a card. So if you pull 3 copies of something, you can play it. And so I had 3 copies of Ammo Reserves. I think he had 2 copies of Ammo Reserves. There was also a lot of Nature's Charm going around. Something that I think we both recognize pretty easily is that there's not a lot of money generation in this set. There's no truce. There's no well-connected. There's just not that. And so getting money was sometimes hard to come by. He did have that transport, which allowed him to get some money, but I think I actually may have N1 Starfighter that off the table at some point, but who knows? But we played. We ended up playing 3 games. I won the first one, which was pretty exciting. I went straight after Luke because he was kind of what I thought. Luke being able to resolve his shield sides for melee sides and whatnot. He was either tanking up or he could kind of surprise with that damage. I went straight after Luke, and before he could shield him up too much, I was able to just kind of take him out. I mean, it took more than a couple of rounds because it's draft and it just takes a while. But I was able to take down Luke before he got too many of his dangerous weapons out, and he had a lot of supports that would come out. So I mean, he often had the bigger board state than me. But I felt good. I got Luke down, and then I was able to just whittle away at the other 2 characters, and I was able to claim the win. I felt pretty good about it. Now afterwards, we swapped cards out because we realized that was useless, or this was useless, or this wasn't going to be relevant. And then we played the second game, and I probably should have just stayed into Luke, but he immediately started shielding Luke up, and then I just kind of targeted the Trusted Informant just to be able to kill someone. And he would take out. He wouldn't target Snoke. He never targets Snoke first, but he took out like Snoke's targets, right? So he took out the Mando, and then eventually he took out Price, or maybe he took out Price first. But either way, Snoke was always the last of my characters remaining. And I had a Quad Breather that I would put on Snoke, which was pretty useful. I also had Dex's Diner in my deck, which showed up twice. And so even when he got me down to just Snoke that second game, I think I extended it a lot longer than either one of us thought I should have been able to, between the Aquata Breather and taking out some indirect, and then just kind of healing with Dex's Diner. And that was really, really useful. I just kind of ran out of dice, and he had not 1, but 2 Arc Starfighters, and he had just more weapons on the table. And eventually I succumbed to that second game. So I went to the third game, and I would love to tell you that I heroically stomped him, but it didn't go that way. The third game felt closer than the second game. I think at some point in the second game, I thought I could have scooped and just saved some time, but Snoke survived. He persisted quite longer than I thought. Third game played out faster, but more of the same. He tanked up Luke, and I think I killed one of his secondary characters, and he just slowly picked off my Mando and then picked off Price. And then I remember, fittingly, Snoke was felled by Luke resolving one of his two shields as two melee. So, yeah, old man Luke. The one card I wanted, I did receive. I didn't play it, but old man Luke was the one that took down Snoke for Greg to claim the night.
And now, foolish child, he ignites it and kills his true enemy.
Congratulations to Greg. They were fun games. And, I've talked about it, and I will always stress how much fun I have with Sealed. I imagine when I'm in Minnesota later this month, I know some people draft isn't their thing. It's a little slower, but I might throw in some money for a draft. I actually haven't drafted a lot. I've done a lot of Sealed, and maybe I'll do that. But I like the idea of, hey, here's some cards. You don't know what they're going to be when you show up, and then build the best you can and see what you can do. And this night belonged to Greg. If you have a group of people and you want to mix it up occasionally, take a break. I know if you're a competitive player and you're listening to this, first of all, thank you. But if you are a more competitive player, you have a scene right now, we're ramping into primes. Those are starting this weekend. So that's true. But if you ever want a break, hop on Amazon, buy yourself a cheap box of Way of the Force. I mean, it's going to be standard legal for probably another 7 months. Why not, right? And then, you can get a box for $30, $34. You can use it yourself, or you can get some friends. You can draft out of it. I think it's just a good way to go, right? If you enjoy Destiny, and if you enjoy the casual side of it, just go buy a cheap box. It could be a set from the earlier block, and have some fun with it. And that's what I did. Me and Greg did. I was excited about it. I think we had a lot of fun. I have that extra Snoke. I'll figure out what to do with that. I traded the Rex away, but it's great. You're always going to have more cards. I mean, I think I have honestly 10 copies of ammo reserves at this point, and that's okay. I can't run them all, but that's fine. And we know many of you have more cards than you know what to do with, and that's part of it. That's part of a collectible card game. You're gonna have a bunch of commons that you don't know. But it was nice to pick up some new rares for me, and obviously the legendaries are super exciting. But also picking up some new uncommons, right? I'm happy to have my second copy of Dex's Diner. I think that's great. And I pulled quite a few other that I think I've only had one copy of, and now I have two of. So lots of excitement there. Wow, look man, we're almost 30 minutes in. We're getting close to it. So, I don't have a whole lot more to report on. I mentioned I'm building a Leia Bouche, the Yoda Leia Bouche, I should say. Maybe I've been pronouncing that wrong, but I'm building a Yoda Leia deck, and I'm excited about that, trying to special chain Yoda. It's a casual deck, so I'm missing a lot of the really, really amazing, sexy, legendary cards, but I think it'd be fun, and I'm sure I'll roll it out pretty soon. I believe Greg's going to come over this weekend, and he's going to help me grind. Now, we're not going to grind against the Gauntlet per se, but I may tweak this Ewok deck I have. I know Greg has a Hoss Trooper. I don't, but I can maybe develop that. We have Plo Koon now, so maybe I could build that. Who knows? But I know he has Vader. And I just want to grind with the deck I think I want to take, right? And just see how it goes and get some games in. So I'll report back next week. And then, like I mentioned, I will discuss what deck ultimately I think I'm bringing and kind of commit to that. And then, we'll see. And if you see me at Worlds, man, let's get in a pod. Let's hop in a pod. Let's do something. And please come to the Friday night event. I'm really looking forward to that. As I said on the Roll On pod, I think that's really what it's about. I have no expectations of winning. I hope to grind tickets and come home with a prize or two. But man, going to see and just mingle and say hello and say thanks to all these other Destiny players and people that have supported me and other content creators that have kind of shown me or provided examples, whether they know it or not. They've provided examples for me and how to develop and what to build with Jank It Up Fuzzball. I'm looking forward to it. If you're going to be at Worlds, please reach out. Let me know. Give me a heads up, and let's get together. Let's share a drink, or let's share some Destiny. Right? Let's find a pod and just roll some dice. That's what it's about. Let's open a pack. This is the last pack of Spark of Hope I have, and I'm a little cautious. I don't know. Like I mentioned, I get most of it. If I'm just buying packs, I buy it from like a big box store like Barnes & Noble, but I haven't seen any Spark of Hope in the wild. So I really need to maybe reach out to an online store and get some sent to me by next week, because otherwise it's just not as cool if I'm having to open up a pack of another set. So I'll try to track that down by next week, but this is it. This pack was from Kingwood Hobbies. Once again, Trey has always been supportive of Jank It Up Fuzzball, so I thank you for that. I believe Trey and some other Houston peeps are driving up to Fort Worth for one of the first primes of the season, so I wish them all the best of luck. But this is Spark of Hope. It's got C-3PO on the front. Newly nerfed C-3PO, mind you, a perfect gentleman. But obviously he was doing something not as perfect, but we'll see. We're going to crack this open and see what we got. All right, I bet it's yellow, right? It's got to be yellow. I mean, this is it. This is the pod, and it is. All right, it is not yellow. It is a red dice. It is not a legendary, so don't get your hopes up for that. But it is. It's a card I don't have. How exciting is that? Always exciting. It is the TL50 Heavy Repeater. It is a red villain upgrade weapon. Its die sides read 2 ranged, 3 ranged for a resource, +3 ranged modified, 1 discard, a special, and a blank. The text reads, it has a power action. If this upgrade is on a trooper, turn this die to any side. That's pretty sexy. And the special reads, deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent. Reroll this die instead of removing it. Hence the repeating aspect. That's pretty awesome. Now it's 3 costs, so it's a little bit up there, and it doesn't have redeploy, so it's it has some limitations. But those die sides are pretty sweet. 2 ranged, 3 ranged for a resource, +3 ranged modified, and then a discard and a special. Wow, yeah, man, I don't know. I like playing Red Villain, that's no lie. Now Red Villain Trooper is a little different, but just this week I had visions of a Tobias Beckett, Infus Nest Marauder Fosta deck. Maybe this could slide into there. I don't know. We'll see. What's the uncommon? Oh, wow, this just got better. This just got so much better, people. Not only is it a rare I didn't have, it is also an uncommon I didn't have. Separatist Embargo. Beware, Greg. Beware. 1 cost, red support, villain support. After you play the support, name a card. Copies of the named card cannot be played. So next time he sits down with Vader, I'm just going to say, Fear and Dead Men, Greg. Fear and Dead Men. Awesome. That's 2 cards I don't have. I'm super excited. Let's look at the commons. All right, so the commons. The first one up is a blue neutral event. It is 3 cost, Alter Fate. It's got an amazing picture of Ahsoka Tano on the artwork. Remove all of an opponent's dice showing damage. So again, you're spending 3, but you're removing all of an opponent's dice. I think it's only going to be worth it if there's like 3 dice in the pool, maybe. But that's a super expensive cost. But it does shut down an opponent's turn. Absolutely, that would do it. Next up is a red event. It is a hero card. It is 1 cost. It is Our Situation is Desperate. Spot any number of characters that have 3 or less remaining health to remove that many dice. This could be really good in an Ewok deck if you just have your Ewoks taking on damage. But again, it's 1 cost red hero event. Spot any number of characters that have 3 or less remaining health and remove that many dice. Very conditional, but in the right deck, it can be played. Last up, it is a yellow villain event. Tireless Pursuit. It is a 0 cost, always fun. Has ambush, so 0 cost with ambush. After you play this card, gain 1 action. Move up to 2 damage from an opponent's character to a character that has a bounty on it. So there you go. So move up to 2 damage from an opponent's character to a character that has a bounty on it. And it has ambush, and it costs nothing. So obviously you need to have bounties, and bounties aren't going anywhere, right? People are playing bounties. It certainly has a place. So overall, I think this is an amazing pack for me personally. Now, it's not a legendary, so the hunt continues. We're now 22 packs in without a legendary. Sad trombone, but that's okay. Great pack. Thank you, Kingwood Hobbies. Now I have to do a good job of trying to find another pack before next week, so I have one to open. All right, that about winds it down. I want to thank Kingwood Hobbies for the pack. I also want to thank one of our latest sponsors, which is the Game Shop of Destiny. They gave away an entire box of Spark of Hope last month. How exciting is that? Please, if you have any Destiny card needs, check them out at gameshopofdestiny.com. They actually are partnering with us here at Jank It Up Fuzzball, and you can get a discount by ordering singles and using the discount code JANK15. They will give you 15% off your order of Star Wars Destiny singles. So gameshopofdestiny.com. They are new to the scene, but they are hitting the ground running. They have a brand new logo designed by Parker Simpson, so check that out. Really, really sweet. Hey, it's been a while, and I'm sorry, just life gets in the way, but I'm here. I'm excited to be back. Once again, really excited to have been invited to be part of Roll On this week, and then to talk shop with you here. It's great. And, all I have to say is Worlds is coming up. It'll be my only time to travel for Destiny, I can imagine. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be back next week to talk about my plans for Worlds, and then that way, if you have any feedback or comments or criticism, hit me up, right? I'm really looking forward to it, but what would your plans be? What could I do differently, right? So I'll give you kind of my agenda, my goals, my deck, and then we'll just see how it goes from there. But in the meantime, people, whether you're playing in a Prime this weekend or not, please play some Jank, roll some dice, have some fun. Episode 22, holy cow. We will talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.